Hey Dr. Wright, so this is going to be my Loom submission for The Politics of Morality by Joanne Mishtel. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. If I'm not, don't tell me. So I said the main themes in The Politics of Morality was to bring awareness to the influence that the Catholic Church has and had on the Polish government. Mishtel, I don't know, explains the church and state collaboration, specifically the alliance that the Catholic Church had during the Solidarity movement in Poland. The Solidarity movement helped the church rise to political power when Poland first became democratic, which is important because it set the trajectory for the rest of the movement. Because of this, it led to several issues within the Polish government, and many policies were introduced to attack things like, you guessed it, reproductive rights. Anyway, the church was able to show control over women and their bodies in this way. Mishtel explains this idea of moral governance that describes the legal, medical, and educational control that the church and government had on Polish women. Similar to the US, these restrictions on reproductive health did not put an end to contraception and abortion, only made safe options difficult to secure, which I'll talk about more later. Feminist activists in Poland spoke out in defiance of the oppression that they were experiencing because of the church, which I'll also talk about more. But the chapter that I want to focus on is chapter 3, which was Women Respond. In this chapter, there are many concepts that she introduces. Mishtel, I don't know. One of these is informal biopolitics. Informal biopolitics were used to describe the discrete ways that women use to get around or find loopholes in Polish reproductive laws. Things like illegal abortion, illegal purchase of contraceptives, and using private medical services away from church regulations. I already discussed moral governance and how the church used it to control women, but this was heavily enforced, which is a little different than the US. These are heavily enforced by using several surveillance outlets, which means that many women lived a sort of double life. So they would outwardly adhere to religious norms, but privately they would base their decision making off of personal needs, essentially just away from the church perspective. With these restrictive reproductive laws and the loopholes to get around them came several public health concerns. Restricting safe and legal abortion and contraception is not only an infringement on a woman's bodily autonomy, but it's incredibly dangerous. Women in need of a safe solution would have to seek out these private practices that they talked about, which would require them. They would also need to be incredibly well off financially. Many times it was required to travel abroad just to have access to your health care. This created a harsh divide between class and gender in Poland, as usual, economically disadvantaged women were facing a greater challenge. I found this argument especially compelling because of past and current struggles that we are seeing in the United States. Access to healthcare and equal rights to bodily autonomy is something I feel incredibly passionate about. While reading ahead, I took note of the dangers that many activists faced in Poland, which was talked about a little more in chapter 4. Where was I? And I think back to women in American history like Betty Friedman, who have faced similar challenges, and I'm sad to know that a lot of their work was reversed nearly 50 years later, and now we're doing it all over.